And welcome to A Guy, a Hoosier, and a Hillbilly walk into Anonymity. I am Hoosier, and I'm joined today by Guy and Hillbilly. Welcome,
What's
guys.
up? How are you
What's up,
tonight?
everybody?
Hey, how's it going? So, welcome to our inaugural video podcast. We've done a few voice only ones, and we're moving into video here. And we thought we'd start with anonymity. Why? Well, as you can see by our wonderful faces, we're all trying to stay anonymous. Um, why is that? For me, it's very simple. My views and opinions should not affect my family. And too much on here, you know, you want to tear me up in the chat, folks, please do. Post all you want. Call me an idiot, a moron. I'm good with it. But, you know, it should not affect my family. So that's why I am on here. And that's why I'm wearing this wonderful mask.
Totally agree. Um, Too much can be spoken on the internet. It's a place where you can say something, but the words never go away, right? The things that you say, type, or do on the internet will live on uh, forever until this planet has no electricity. And even then, what a lot of people don't realize, even then, if the electricity, if solar flare hits the planet, all this goes away, no electricity. Uh, when shit comes back on, it's still going to be there. So, just saying, careful what you say and what you do on the internet.
Agreed. And the other aspect of this, which a lot of people don't think about, is in this day and age, with the popularity of social media and everybody being online, is stalkers. And there are a lot of normal people that have become very famous just doing podcasts such as what we're doing. And they have gone home at night and found stalkers in their homes, and they have had people trail them to their workplaces. And that's just something that it's a boundary that as a society we have crossed, and we would like to have the ability to do these podcasts and be able to be safe in our own homes. So it's something that I think a lot of people should start thinking about, of figuring out ways to be on social media while keeping their identities and their homes private.
Absolutely. And the other part of this is, our professional lives. We're not professional podcasters as of yet. Hey, we may never be, but we all work other jobs, and there are people out there that may see us, and we don't want that to affect that job, right? So, um, right now, we're just starting out. We're seeing how this goes. We hope it goes great. We hope that you like what we're saying. We hope that you want to come back and listen to us, and see us and watch how stupid we normally are. But you know
And we
that's why
appreciate
we're
you,
staying anonymous.
indeed, and we very much appreciate you letting us know in the comments. Very, very seriously. Um, if you think we're ridiculous and dumb, please tell us. If you love what we're doing, you want to hear more of it, please tell us. If you have ideas about what we should talk about or discussions, or if you just want to hear some opinions, please tell us. We definitely want to hear it. So go ahead, start banging away down on the box below, and we'll be here. We'll read it. I promise you. So,
Agreed. Go ahead, Guy.
no, I was going to say, go ahead.
So really, what I wanted to start this off with is since we're on this subject, um, what are things that we can all do besides what we're doing, wearing masks and wearing hunting masks, wearing ninja masks, looking pretty spectacular, I think. What can we all do in our normal lives in social media driven, where jobs are on the line, what you post can affect employment? We've seen it over the years. It's on the rise, people getting terminated over things that they post online. And
Professional sports players losing
yes,
their contracts because of something they said in high school when they were, a dumb kid, or
Indeed.
post it as a joke, but maybe wasn't very smart joke to post. Uh, you know, uh, there's just a lot of that going on, and you have to protect yourself. But with regards to what you were saying, Hillbilly Online, I mean VPNs or using the Tor network, either or is a great way to keep your IP and your general locality, you know, safer, right? Of course, there are people out there that could take 10 seconds and probably figure out who we are.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Hopefully, they don't dox us. Hopefully, we don't do anything to be doxed. But hey,
And we will never dox anyone else, just so everyone knows that's not who we are. But I want to step back for just a moment. For those of you that may not understand the topic that we're talking about today, and when we say anonymity, what does that actually mean? How is that defined? And I think it's dictionary.com or Maritime or Oxford. One of the dictionaries says that it is the condition of being anonymous, a lack of outstanding individual or unusual features, uh, impersonality, or physical. So that's what we're talking about. Whether that is the digital persona, where we're talking about our IP based, our networking, if we're talking about our actual real world ID, just in general, that's part of it too. So just wanted to lay kind of the grounds of what we're talking about here. Um, and VPNs, absolutely a great way to work on it. Be careful about which VPN you go with, though. There are VPNs out there that have actually cut deals with intelligence agencies so that active exit nodes live on their network. While they don't have access into every single one of those nodes, they do have access into some of those nodes, and they can drive traffic by having it be the most efficient and shortest path. So there are ways that intelligence agencies can actually utilize some of the VPN brands out there. And I'm not going to call them out there because I don't want to get sued. I know no one else down here wants to get sued by somebody. But that's just the truth. You have to be very, very careful in how you work it. Same with Tor. Tor has multiple exit nodes in which you can utilize. It breaks things apart into different packets, but if you have enough coverage on it, there, in theoretically, you can start to rebuild some of those packages.
but
But
Tor
it's much more difficult with Tor.
Tor does use a lot of encryption, node to node.
Yes,
It
yes,
encrypts. VPNs encrypt to your endpoint, and then you know that traffic is encrypted. But Tor encrypts between nodes using
mhm,
different encryption, and it's good in one aspect, but just remember it slows it down, right? Because
of
you're
course.
encrypting that traffic, you have to encrypt, decrypt, so you're adding more to it. Um, I personally, I and no one sponsors us. We are not sponsored, as we said. We just started. I use NordVPN.
Same.
Um, it's easy. It's really usable by anybody. Um, you know, you don't have to be a geek to be able to use it. It's made for just an everyday person to be able to turn on NordVPN, and you can get it for your computers, your phones, you can even just put it on your home router so everything goes through it. Again, remember some of that traffic's going to slow down because not only does it have the encryption aspect, but it's actually going to a node somewhere. Um, some people use it to get around blocks, like they have NFL.com or the NFL Plus or whatever it is, ESPN Plus,
Yep.
and they want to watch their local games. Well, you know, they change their VPN to be somewhere in, a state that doesn't have a football team, and therefore, and that's just one of the many ways it's used.
So
Uh, Hill, Hill
go ahead.
I was going to ask Hillbilly, what what other things online can we use to keep ourselves anonymous? And we're not talking about the group Anonymous. We have no affiliation, and we are
So
not messing with those folks.
I think one of the biggest things that people don't realize is images, albeit innocent, albeit for fun family occasions or giant milestones in your life, can be used against you. So, for example, it's very popular, and I didn't grow up with social media. The internet was pretty much in its infancy when I was growing up. So a lot of these things are things that I didn't have to deal with that a lot of the younger generation has to, which is your first time buying a home. A lot of people, they like to take a picture outside the front of the house with the real estate agent. They have their keys in hand. And the problem with that is, while it looks really innocent, if your address, just your actual house number is in that image, and you have your keys in that image, a very clever person can take that image, they can zoom in on it, they can craft a key based off of that they can use in real life, and then they can use Google Images and a whole bunch of other image searches to go ahead and find out that geographical location and get access to your home. So when you take a picture and you post it online to whatever social media, including Snapchat and all those other temporary photo ones, make sure that the backgrounds, make sure what's in the photo has no identification in it. It's very popular these days, huge milestone, graduating college, to, put your diploma out there, say, I graduated, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to remember that's not anonymous information. There are bad people out there that make a lot of money selling these images, make a lot of money crafting plans. And so, one of the best ways to go about it is, if you're going to take a selfie, all it means take a selfie, but make sure what is in the image cannot come back to haunt you. So, if it's your grandma's house, don't take an image with the street address. You just bought a house, don't have your keys. Um, Other aspects are, be very careful about putting where you work and where you live and geographical tagging on these photos. It's great to be proud of where you work. It's great to be proud of where you live, but geotagging, very, very easy way for people to take advantage of a very innocent situation.
But, Guy, I only share with my family. That should keep it safe, right?
That depends on your family, doesn't it? And more.
It does. Because you never know when there's a fake profile or who has access to what. And a lot of people, they leave their stuff unsecure in public places, and that can be detrimental.
And, just to stack on top of that, what a lot of people don't realize is that corporate entities and agencies can see everything. They have unrestricted access into it. Ask anybody that's in HR if they've ever done background checks on somebody, what they can see versus what others can see. They're able to see, even though they're not your friend, they're going to see all of your previous posts because that's what they pay for. If you think these tech giants just, they make money off of you posting your feelings and your pictures, that's not how it works. They take in advertising funds, and they also pay or receive funds from companies and other organizations so that they can see all of that information as well. Um, it's okay to have your opinions. It's okay to have your thoughts and your pictures, but you really have to be careful about it. I quit social media back in 2018, and I really haven't done anything with it since for several reasons. But for people out there that question, the whole ability of, being able to take a picture and copy a key from it. Let me put some of this camera stuff in perspective for you. As a proof of concept, back in as either the 60s or the 70s with the SR-71 Blackbird, um, It took a photograph in downtown New York City from a insane height, going at an insane speed, and you could count the dots on a polka dot tie on a gentleman standing in downtown New York City. So, if you think since like the 60s and 70s of camera technology has not improved since then down to the consumer level at an amazing amount, I mean, look at your cell phone right now and look at how many megapixels it has. Sure, a couple years ago, it might have been what, 12 megapixels. Mine has, I think, 108 megapixels on the camera. So when you're taking that picture, there's a lot of detail in there. And while you may not see it on the screen, the source definitely has all that inside of the RAW. And they're not just looking at it, they're actually using uh, different programs so that they can look at the measurements statistically. They are going to be able to make very accurate copies based off of just the information that you put up there. And the geotagging on top of it, you've given them an address. They know exactly where to go. And the best part is they can just use Google to learn how to drive there. Um, so there's a lot that we can do out there. Now, uh, Hoosier said something earlier that I thought it was great too, talking about using your router as the base for your VPN so you can funnel all of the traffic from your home network through that. Really, to put that in perspective, you have to have the right equipment in order to do that. You can't just go and buy, say, a Netgear. Now, some Netgears may have that in there now,
Oh
but
yeah.
if you've had a Netgear that's a couple years old or has been around, you don't have that option. So you're probably going to have to upgrade. Personally, I run a PF Sense firewall at my house. It allows you to have total control over everything. Yes, it's a little bit more money. Yes, you have to learn a little bit, but it's not that hard. Even non-technical people can learn the PF Sense firewall in 15 minutes. There are tons of Google videos on it. You can figure it out very, very quickly, and it's going to only do good things for you because not only can you use it to pass your traffic out through VPNs, but you can also control everything else that's leaving your network at a much more granular level. A lot of people don't realize it, but Windows 11 is basically spyware. It is reporting
Mm-hmm.
back so much information back to Microsoft. And Microsoft, you think they just sit on that? You think they're not making money off of it? No, they're taking a lot of that information that you're sending back, and they're utilizing it as blind statistics. Now, if you know how to look at those blind statistics the right way, you can find out where that information came from. It's not difficult. Um, yeah. So,
But you can also block what's coming into your network
oh,
too.
absolutely, absolutely. And the PF Sense firewall, because it's on a better hardware than most of the Netgears, you can set it up. Um, there's specific hardware that they sell from PF Sense, but you can set it up on an old computer. You can set it up on a new computer. You could set it up any number of ways that you want to, and have full control over it. So I run the individual device itself. It's I think it's a 12 core processor. I've got 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM in this one. Um, it only has 4 network ports on the back end of it, but those are hardwired into my access points. All of my DHCP is being controlled from the actual router itself, and I have it locked down based off of MAC address and some other key factors. So you can really take total control of your home network. And what that means is when you're using MAC address control, even if somebody can break your Wi-Fi password, which is not difficult, it really is not difficult at all. Take 10 minutes and watch a video on it, and you will understand how easy it is to actually crack Wi-Fi passwords in today's age. But with being able to lock it down on the multiple measures, even if they defeat your passwords, they still won't be able to join the network at core levels. There's ways around it, but you have to get much more advanced at that point to actually beat it. You've become a real target. So at that point.
So
Going
as long
back
as
to
go ahead, Hoosier.
going back to what Hillbilly was talking about with social media. We were talking about, well, it's just my private folks. How many people have taken and copied a meme or copied a picture and reposted it without that person's consent or knowledge even. Not only that, I had to have a talk with some parents when my kids were in high school because their daughter was making posts about how her parents were going out of town and she was going to have the house to herself. Well, when I started reviewing her posts, I could see where she lived, what school she went to. I got her name, and I could work out her address from just what I saw. And she had a picture of her car with the license plate displayed. So if you're going on vacation, great. You know when you talk about it, when you get back. Because
Yeah.
otherwise you're telling people, my house is open and here you go. The other thing that I'll talk about when it comes to anonymity, something that nobody thinks about, bumper stickers.
Yes.
The amount of information I see on some of these people's cars that I can figure out from their bumper stickers is astounding. And I'm like, wow, I know
Oh,
who you are.
you
I
mean
know what you're doing.
all right? You
Go
mean
ahead.
so the person that you saw at the store that has, say, um, the Harry Potter sticker, and it's got two parents and four kids and the two dogs on the window strip, telling you the size of the family, what type of animals they have, what they're a fan of. Not to mention, now it's very easy to just find that car. I mean, if you take a picture of it, you can now run image similarity searches in Google to find image similarities just from a picture that you took. So, yeah, there's a lot of information out there.
Absolutely. My kid's an honor roll student at, well, now you just told me where kid goes to school.
Yep.
You know, it just, a lot of information that people may not be thinking about. And just in general, not, you know, not considering themselves a target, right? And I hope no one is a target. However, we live in this world and there's a lot of bad people out there that want to do bad things. Don't make their job easier. That's kind of the whole point of anonymity. Just looking like you know one of the sheep, right? Don't give them the information. One of the other aspects I wanted to talk about. So we talked about VPN. We talked about Tor. Um, Hillbilly, do you want to kind of tell people? Maybe people don't know what Tor is, and kind of. I know we covered a little bit of it, but just maybe a quick overview of what Tor is and why I should know what it is.
So the Tor network has been around for a very, very long time, and it has a lot of different aspects to it. There are many different factors as to why you would go there. One of which is, illegally downloading stuff, pirating software. That is definitely one thing. Which, if you're doing, legality standpoint and all that, I'm not going to get into any of that or judge anybody, but those types of places, be very careful because sometimes what you're downloading is not what you think you're downloading. But besides that, and besides opening yourself up to viruses and the backdoors into all your devices, um, the Tor network allows you to really go many different places. Uh, I'm not going to go into too much detail of it because I have been known to use Tor for quite a few different things that I'm not going to admit to or deny. So, Guy, actual, what are your thoughts on the Tor network? I don't want to implicate myself here.
The Tor network is a blessing and a curse. It really is. So along with anonymity comes with the dark side of things. So you may want to maintain anonymity like us just because we don't want our words to be utilized as a source for ridicule or endangering our families or anything like that. But with that also comes those that do have intent of harm, right? So people can utilize the same methodologies to do bad things, but we can't make those discrepancies until they've actually taken those actions a lot of the time. So um, Tor is a great thing. So was the discovery of splitting the atom. It's how we utilize it that really defines whether it's good or bad. So are we making clean energy here, or are we, decimating a city?
Yeah, and it's just one of those things of, you know, a tool is a tool. How the person utilizes that tool is what makes the good or the bad, right? Another aspect of being anonymous online, everybody thinks, well, I'll just create a Gmail account with a fake name, and that'll protect me. No, they link those together. They know where they're coming from. There are anonymous email providers out there
Yeah,
that do work to protect you, and yes, they're used by the bad guys and the good guys.
of course.
Um, but you can go out there and look them up and see like what they do and where they're based and what their laws are. Um, just as an example. But we've talked about online and we've kind of talked about the real world. One of the most interesting things that's come out in the past, I don't know, 20 years or so, is the anti-tracking clothing.
Mm.
Have you guys seen that? The shirts
Yes.
that are all have the different patterns on them that supposedly.
Throws
I wonder
off
how well that
the
works.
AI. Yeah,
You know, I mean, I was always taught, if you want to stay out of the limelight, walk in the crowd, look like the crowd, disappear into the crowd.
gray man
Um,
concept.
you know, but now they've got that. They have the hats with the LED flashers that supposedly mess up cameras so they can't see your face, and of course we have masks, that
Yeah,
type of stuff.
it was amazing that before the pandemic, regardless of what people's political views are, before the pandemic, um, you walk into a bank with a mask, you're going to get taken down or shot at or something. And then all of a sudden, 2020 came around, and all of a sudden, it's like, you have to wear a mask in this bank. Like, what happened here? Like, this is completely opposite of everything that I knew. So, the world has become much more accepting over the recent 5 years, 4 years of being able to cover your face and utilize these technologies. And I'd definitely be interested in a hat that can block out my face from cameras. I think that's a great thing. Not because I want to do anything illegal, is because I want my privacy. I do. I come from a generation that's used to being able to walk outside and not being tracked by a million different angles. And, um, police departments have drones now. I literally saw a police drone flying just about a mile south of where I live. I was driving in traffic. I looked up. There's a drone up there, and I was just like, "You've got to be kidding me!" But yes, the drones are used in America now. No, they're not armed yet, but um, you're being tracked everywhere. It's not just private industry that's doing it. Our government is doing it. And if you think for one moment that big tech isn't doing it, you're out of your mind. These things have more sensors in it than you could ever imagine. The microphones, even though there's a button that says turn off microphone, guess what? It's not turning off the microphone any more than it's turning off the GPS. It's just turning off the access to the programs in which you've installed. It doesn't do anything to the provider. So, one of the next things on my list is to swap to a de-Googled phone. That's one of the next steps I'm going to take in my personal life to try to clear myself at least a little bit further off the network. Now, for me, it's too late. But for my children, I can teach them and prepare them a little bit more to move forward, right? In anonymity. So teach them how to not make a mistake that can cost them their career, uh, or worse. So,
And
Very
I
cool.
tried to teach my kids that too about, watch what you post, because once it's out there, it's out there.
oh yeah,
There's nothing to do. But when I started thinking about this, Hillbilly, did you ever see? I'm sure you saw this movie, Minority Report.
Yes, I was just going to say that. Minority Report. If you haven't seen it, yeah, I definitely recommend go and watch it, and don't get caught up in the in a conspiracy theory about it. But take a look at what they're doing, and just go to a public place, go to a mall, or well, malls aren't that big in most places these days. Go out somewhere in a public place. Take a look around. Take your eyes out of your phone and look around. Chances are your body, in some way, shape, or form, is a part of a selfie. And that data is being stored somewhere. So it's out of your control. And when it's out of your control, you could be in 1,000 photos online and have no understanding of it. And something that you did that you thought was by yourself is now in some database that can come back to haunt you. And you know, books, science fiction, and books and movies have predicted the future accurately in a lot of instances, not in all instances, but in a lot of instances. And we are getting to the point with the technology that a Minority Report situation, while the full aspect of it is not possible right now, but the aspect of your images being everywhere without you even knowing you were part of the image, it's very, very normal. It's very common. I was out in a public place the other day, and I was a part of a selfie, and I didn't even know it. I just turned around, and people were taking selfies, and I was a part of the background. So, big brother, big sister, they are all watching you, even if it's unintentional.
oh yeah,
And that's another reason for anonymity on here now, is because your voice, your face, your body can all be fed into a program, and they can create a deepfake of you saying something or you doing something that you didn't actually say or do.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just ask Taylor Swift.
Oh, indeed. Ask Donald Trump. Like him or not, he's one of the most replicated and emulated AI sources that are out there. Same for Nancy Pelosi and so many actors. You know, these are utilized in crazy ways. And artificial intelligence, it's not. A lot of people have a misconception about what AI actually is. It's a machine learning platform, and it's all it is doing is absorbing information, spitting out results, looking to say, are these the results you were looking for? And when you say no, it's going to reattempt them. But during that
Mm-hmm.
process, it's absorbing everything that it can, and that includes social media posts, that includes images that are out there, regardless of what they are. So unintentionally, you being in the background of a photo, you are now a source for AI content, whether you like it or not. And there's nothing you can do about it legally. There really isn't. The law states, at least in the northern hemisphere of the United States, um, it clearly states that if you can see it with the naked eye in public, you can take a picture of it. There's nothing you can do
Correct.
about it. So, same for video. If somebody's videoing on the street, it's your responsibility to be aware of the situation. If you don't want to be on that video, you've got to turn around. Ultimately, the buck stops with you. You can't just say, I want you to stop. Be smart about it. Walk away from the situation. So, sorry, it's a little.
Absolutely walk away. However, I will also denote, if someone is videotaping your child or
Yes,
someone
that's
else's
different.
child,
That's different.
they can't. They're even in public. there's some responsibility when it comes to that. And if someone's doing that and it makes you feel uncomfortable, don't confront them. You call a cop.
Yep.
You let them do the confrontation. And if it's nothing, great. That person has nothing to worry about. But it puts it out there in case they are doing something bad, because one of the biggest things that have been happening recently within the world of law enforcement and fights is the deep fakes for uh, bad types of images that involve children's and adults, and then being deep fakes. So they take someone's, your kid's face and put it onto a different picture to make it look like that's your child.
And it's not like Photoshop where it's obviously incorrect. It's integrated and it's sized using AI in order to make it look very, very real, and it's
just
horrible.
just be aware of your surroundings. I get yelled at all the time when I'm at like a playground with my kid or at a play place with my kid, and some parent all of a sudden looks up from their phone and goes, "Where's my kid?" And I'm like, "They're over there." Then they're like, "Why are you watching my kid?" I'm paying attention to everything around me. I just happen to know where your kid is because I'm paying attention. You know, yes, I'm the person that when I'm in a restaurant, my back's against a wall away from the door. I'm watching all the exits. I'm watching all the hands. I'm looking at what people are doing. Why?
Habit.
Because I don't trust people, and it's a habit. You know, um, I'm there to make sure my family's safe, and if it comes down between my family and somebody else, well, guess what? My family's making it home. So that may be an unpopular uh, opinion, but it's my opinion.
That's correct. And, we're not saying these things to scare people into not going outside and not living their lives. But we did grow up. There are those of us around these days that we grew up before all of this was in your face, before social media, before the internet, before cameras were everywhere, when you still had to take a Polaroid photo. And that was the only way you could have an instant photo. Uh, you know, we grew up with all of those things. And we have seen over the years how the use of technology, while it has its great benefits, it also has come at a cost, and that cost is privacy and safety. And so we say these things not to scare you, but to give you something to think about, so that when you do have those wonderful moments in life that you want to share with your friends and family, maybe think twice about how you do it and where those images go. It's very common these days to put all of this information online on Facebook, or the newest, greatest platform. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to show your kid playing at the playground, but it doesn't need to be online. Maybe, share that in a text message or take a photo, create a photo album. Go back to nice photo albums. They're wonderful. They're cute. You can hold them. You can carry them around, show them to people. And it makes it more personable than just having a digital copy. So keep all
I
of that
mean,
in mind.
yeah, I'm not saying that you can't share it online, but if you share it, make sure you know who you're sharing it with, and make sure they know your rules.
Yes.
Hey, I'm sharing this with you. You are not allowed to repost this anywhere. It stays within my family circle or whatever. Because it is great. Don't get me wrong. I remember being in the military out to sea 6 months at a time and waiting for mail to be delivered. And by the time you got the letter, it was weeks old, right? And then going to being able to sit there at sea in the middle of nowhere, be able to email my family and get instant responses or near instantaneous responses, right? And that's a great thing. And being able to share pictures especially as a father, when you're, our military members are, let me, let me rephrase that. Mothers and fathers that are our military members, my brothers and sisters out there that are able to get pictures from home of their kids, of their family, to give them that you know feeling of being there when they're doing some of the greatest services for our country and serving and protecting and doing their job. Not not what they maybe want to do, but what they're ordered to do and doing that job. Being able to get that kind of, feeling from home like that is amazing. And, I'm not saying don't share, just be sure you know who you're sharing with, you know who's receiving it. And yes, I'm going to talk to those young ones out there. When you send that picture to your boyfriend or your girlfriend, and you're like, oh, yeah, and in 2 weeks later, when they're not, and they share it with somebody else, you gave up that choice when you sent it, unless you have very specific things with that person. Once you give it to them, it's theirs. You know, hey guys, when you give that engagement ring to that woman, and then for some reason that breaks off, that engagement ring is theirs.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you know who you're giving it to.
So, along with that, I just want to encourage people to also look at the laws. If you are a minor, don't send anything stupid to anybody. Don't think of it as it's a risk, it could wreck my life. Think about it like this: it will wreck my life, and if you're a minor, it will wreck somebody else's life. It will. These big companies are now scanning through images and looking for that. Wasn't Apple that now is looking for images of minors inside of their different albums and stuff?
All of
Yeah.
them are. And remember, for the most part, if you send that to someone, you're distributing
Child pornography.
child pornography.
Period. End of
And
story.
and if they share it, yes, they're doing the same, or even in receipt of it, they're breaking the law too. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Just wait. 18 is not that far away.
But
Then you can do what you want. But remember, when you're doing those kinds of things, just don't do it. And here's a big one that's been happening across the country, which I don't understand. Threatening your school or your classmates.
oh gosh, yeah.
I've seen just this year, just this school year, I know of in my little neck of the woods, 7 kids who have now had their lives ruined. One of them had a full ride to a very prestigious college, and it's gone now because they, quote unquote, made a joke about taking a gun to school.
You can't vote. You
Don't
can't do that.
You can't do that. And you have now ruined your life, because that will follow you, because that is a federal crime.
Well,
And these schools are not taking that as a joke anymore. They're not playing games with it.
remember, folks, the First Amendment gives you freedom of speech. Absolutely. It doesn't guarantee that anything you say or do won't be held against you in a court of law. It's just your ability to be something and say something stupid at any time you want. Think about it like that. So, don't go to jail. Don't ruin your life. This is very, very easy stuff. Is this something you would do to your mother in front of your mother, your father? Is this something you would say to your mother or father, your grandmother? If it's not, don't say it online. Seriously. Do yourself a favor.
All right.
Just stay offline. Turn the video off. Sell your computer.
We have gone down a very deep, dark road. I think it's time to lighten it up. We need something fun.
Before we jump over, can I make one suggestion? For the images and stuff that you want to share, there are companies that you can actually you can store your images with them, and they're not publicly available. Uh, do some investigation in that. One of the best parts of most of these companies is that they also do printing. And a much more heartfelt way to share your images is to actually print them up and send them to somebody. Send them a real image of a magnet for your refrigerator, for their refrigerator. These things go a lot further than just some picture on a shared site or a text message with that information. So uh, utilize things like that. And also, if you are going to post them online, don't hesitate to open them up in something like Photoshop if you have Adobe, or some other image editor. They're not hard to use nowadays. Some of the latest ones are really silly easy. Um, and you can quickly touch up some things, even if it's just a license plate number, even if it's
And you
somebody else's
can
kid in the
remove the
background.
metadata also.
Yes, exactly.
Also, just remember this adage. I told my mother this many, many times when I was, working to clean the viruses off her computer. No one, no one gives you anything for free. They're going to make their dollar somehow, some way. Just think about that before you download that free screensaver or that free game or that free anything. There's something being gathered for them to make their money. Okay. Hillbilly, hit us with something you've either watched, listened, read, did that's more upbeat than what we've been talking about.
Oh, well, that's a daily thing. So let's see here. I spend a lot of time in nature, as my name probably suggests. What I love to do in nature is to sit there and listen to the wilderness or crank out some jams. And I think most recently I was listening to an 80s hair metal band, actually, not even hair metal, more speed metal, called Halloween. That's HEL. So that was really getting things going as far as getting my energy up there. And I think the thing that was most uplifting about it is as one of the songs was playing over the water, I was seeing a whole flock of geese just flying south for the winter. And they just basically dive bombed me and went right over my head, right over the water. And the nicest thing about it is it was as the sun was setting. Other than that, let's see here. What was something else that was really uplifting that I saw? Well, I gotta tell you, I watch a lot of old school cartoons. So I was watching the old Tom and Jerry's, and they just make me giggle. There's nothing like after a sorrowful day or a hard day, kicking back and watching some old school cartoons that will make you giggle. There's nothing sad about those. What about you, Hoosier?
Me, I got to go to the movie theaters recently with my wife and my daughter, and we went and saw Red One.
Hmm.
Mm.
And I know it didn't do very well opening weekend, but man, that movie was fun. Um, there were parts where my daughter was trying to hide from it, but she'd peek out and look at it from underneath her blanket, to watch it. But it was really well done. The graphics and everything, the puppetry, the makeup artists, all that really did a good job with that movie. And it was fun. It has some huge names in it, of course, but it was just it was a good hearted movie that you could watch. And you know I'm sure there were politics in it in some way or another, but I wasn't looking for them, so therefore I didn't see them. But I would highly recommend it if you're just looking for a good popcorn movie to go watch, and it's something new and different. It's not a rehash of the same old same old. What about you, Guy?
Over the last weekend, I was able to go see a movie as well. I went to see uh, The Worst Christmas Pageant, and it was outstanding. Crazy good. Uh, wasn't really a dry eye in the house, me included. Like, I couldn't even hold back. I tear up in movies, call me what you will, but man, this thing had kids crying, adults crying. It was quite possibly one of the best endings to a movie I've seen, possibly since Die Hard. So
Oh yeah.
it was
Awesome.
it was excellent. It's coming up on the Christmas season, so it's time to bust out the Die Hard set. Don't feel bad if you skip Die Hard 2. Nobody's going to blame you for it. So um, all the rest of them, go right ahead.
Hillbilly. Most awkward moment in a movie theater. Like, you know.
Oh, so most awkward move. Okay, let's see here. Uh, what was it? My best friend's wedding. Older movie, but there was a guy and a gal. Pretty sure they were teenagers, but they were in the movie. They started doing the old makeout routine, and then they got into a nice little domestic, and it was very very awkward because it was not quiet. It was a very loud situation and basically ruined the last 20 minutes of the movie for everybody in the theater. The most awkward thing about it is everybody started yelling at them, and the poor girl started crying and left the theater in tears, which horrible way to end a date night.
Man,
I, I would say for me, took the kids to see Up, Disney movie, right? Sitting in this movie theater, packed house, right? Um, I will admit I was one of like four dads in there, so all the rest were kids and moms, right? And I was there with my wife. And if you have not seen Up, it is one of the most traumatic opening or beginnings to a movie that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the kids weren't getting, but I'm sitting there and there are women all around me, including my wife, bawling because of this movie. And I'm like, this is messed up. I mean, this is worse than Bambi or Old Yeller, you know? And I'm just sitting there because I'm like, I can't say nothing. I can't do nothing. This is not my, you know, there's things guys can talk about and sympathize with. This was not one of them. This was I'm going to sit here and shut up and I'm not going to do nothing but just hold my kid and hold my wife's hand and keep watching the movie. But it was just, and after that, the whole movie, it was kind of an awkward silence from the parents. The kids, laughed and giggled and you know, Doug is awesome. Squirrel,
Squirrel, yes.
you know, but like that movie was just really, for a Disney movie, it just blew me away and was so awkward sitting there because there was nothing I could do. I mean, I'm sitting there like, oh my goodness, what do I do here? What about you, Guy?
Okay, so I'm going to start off by telling you if there are children in the room with you, go ahead and have them leave right now before I tell this story. But yes, this is the most awkward thing, and it goes back to high school. Myself and two of my guy friends all went on a date, and we all went to the movies. Don't worry, you know who you are. I'm not going to mention any names. Um, we were all sitting on the same row, guy, girl, guy, girl, guy, girl. Well, one of the guys had decided that he was going to pull the old poke a hole in the bottom of the popcorn bucket trick. And yep, we smiling the whole way through until the wrong girl reached into the wrong bucket and bad things happened after that. That was the most awkward moment in a movie theater for me. So,
All right, you take the cake on that one.
sorry. that was the absolute worst thing
Well, at least
ever.
it was a a female reaching into the bucket, not like, a guy reaching into the rope.
It could have been worse. I guess so. But let's just say we left at separate times that night. So
That's awesome.
and on
All
that
right.
note, so
On that note, I think we've covered a lot about staying anonymous pretty much everywhere. What else do we have for what else do we have for a happy ending since no pun intended. No pun intended, but let's end this one on a high note since that's
Hillbilly.
too dark.
that ending was not happy.
Oh no. What was that movie? Bachelor Party.
Bachelor Party.
Tom
Tom
The
Hanks?
hot dog. Yes.
The hot dog scene. Yes.
Another old movie. Yes, I have stupid movie knowledge, and it's all in here, and I can recall scenes and recall lines and everything from movies that most people probably have never seen. But yeah, I just started thinking about that scene now that you were talking about that. Oh,
All right. So as
all
long as
right.
we're as long as we're on the
I'm gonna-
movie thing, let's end it with the movie that you saw in the theater that you laughed the whole way through, or you just remember being absolutely hysterical in. For me, I think the last movie that I saw that I could not stop laughing was Ted, the first Ted movie, which, if you have not seen it and you're a minor, ask your parents before seeing it. But it was, I saw that in the theaters and I could not stop laughing the entire time.
So many great memes came from that movie too.
Completely. All right, Guy Actual, what do you have for the funniest
Oh man.
movie you've seen in the theater?
The one this last weekend was I laughed a lot because it was so relatable. But as far as before that, man, I'd have to go back a long way, and this is going to be lame by today's standards, but Mrs. Doubtfire made me laugh like hysterically with first time I saw it. I'm a Robin Williams fan. I know a lot of the jokes that he tossed out in there were repeats from back in the day, but it was still such a great concept and so awkwardly funny at so many times. Honestly awkward, not forced awkward like a lot of the ones are nowadays. But that's have to say Mrs. Doubtfire was the last one I laughed my head off in like that.
Thinking back, I mean, one where I laughed the whole way through and just had a great time with that I saw in theaters was Spaceballs.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
it was
in
just,
theaters.
I saw it in theaters. Man, my stomach hurt after being in that movie. It was just, it was a great movie. I mean, it's a Mel Brooks movie, so of course it's great. But that's the last one I can truly think of where I laughed the whole way through it. There's a lot of movies like Deadpool and Wolverine where it had great parts where I was just laughing and fanboying over. But yeah, laughed the whole way through would have been Spaceballs.
I don't think I've seen a single Mel Brooks movie in the theater. And that's a shame.
Not even Robin Hood Men in Tights.
You know what? I did see Robin Hood Men in Tights. I forget that's a Mel Brooks one.
I saw it
But
on
unfortunately,
VHS.
I didn't laugh my head off at it. I was young when I saw that one.
Oh, come on. The one scene I love in that is circumcisions, half off. Nope, just the tip.
Yep.
All right.
Chips.
So, from Hoosier, love y'all. Have a wonderful night. And hopefully we brought you up at the end.
From Hillbilly, have a great night, everybody. Have a great life. Remember, have fun. Life's not that serious.
From Guy, stay anonymous. Good night, everybody.